Say the line!
Howdy, welcome to the channel. This is Ryobi's 40-volt 10-inch pole saw, modeled RY40051. This is a 10-inch chainsaw. That means it's going to be able to cut up to an 8-inch diameter trunk or limb. Now, this is my newest chainsaw out of all of them. I actually got this one last Christmas, and I've already been using it a couple of times. I needed something that could cut a little bit thicker diameter than my old pole saw, and I also needed something that had a little bit more torque behind it because we had a big oak tree that ended up dying. We were in a drought last year. Technically, we're still in a drought right now. And so I needed something that was capable of handling 8-inch thick limbs without a problem.
That's what she said.
So that's what ended up causing the upgrade. Now, this does not have onboard storage yet again. Now, I have a nifty 3D printer, and I still happen to have the tool to do this work. So I ended up designing and 3D printing a tool holder for it. But again, Ryobi, put tool holders on your tools. I don't understand why that is a challenge. That is such a critical aspect of working with a chainsaw. Put a tool holder on all of your chainsaws going forward. Just do it. Help us out, please. Now, this one, like the 18 volt, is an automatic oiler, but this one leaks like a sieve. It is a constant flow to the point that my rods, my support rods that connect to it, are actually completely soaked with bar oil. And if you actually watch, I can push and look at all the oil that is in here.
What's that?
That's all that bar oil. So I would actually like to see Ryobi change it to where it doesn't just drip out continually. There are other saw manufacturers out there that make an automatic feeder that actually automatically feeds it with the motor or with the engine, and it actually rotates gears and forces things through. So for that, I would much rather see something like that as opposed to an automatic drip that even once you put the saw up, it's gonna dribble everywhere. Now, the one thing I don't like about the 40 volt is, as you can see, it's kind of odd with how it puts itself together. So it doesn't have the collar at one end and the receiver at the other. Now this one does, but this has just two receivers. And if you look at these, you've got a collar here on the battery unit, and then you have a collar here on the head unit. So what that means is if you have something that's a little bit taller in the air, you can't easily take, if you wanted to buy an extra one and put it in place, you couldn't take just this little 2.5 foot section and put it in line. If you wanted to do something, that now means that you're going to have a whole lot of extra that you're gonna have to put in line. And that's gonna cause your saw to really become cumbersome. I would rather have the other style system, like the 18 volt, where you have the collar and receiver on every single pole, to where if you need to add an additional pole, you can simply add an additional pole to it. Now we're gonna go ahead and fill our 40 volt with some bar oil. And I'm not gonna fill this up all the way, just gonna put a little bit in here. Well, I filled it up all the way. You could technically just use a saw like this and not put the extra extension. So if you're just needing to get a shorter height, then this would work very well. But for me, I'm gonna need to get higher up in. So we're gonna pull that off, and we're gonna put the additional connection on. Once you have that done, we're gonna pull off our protection. The last thing you wanna do is put the battery on. It's pretty good height, but you can definitely tell that the 18 volt that I showed last week is definitely taller whenever you have all the additional units on there. So as you can tell, that is significantly quicker than the saw from last week. We got another one here. And look at how quick that goes. So one of the things you can do if you're having to cut down limbs like this, and you got a lot of weight on the end of it, is you don't cut off the whole branch. You've been seeing me cut off a lot of the bigger branches, but you don't have to do that. What you can do is you can actually go out towards the end of it, like I'm doing here. And we're gonna cut down the end. And then we can come further back in. And what you're doing is you're cutting off the weight. So now we've gotten a whole lot of that weight off of this. Cut that off. Back in. And you can see how quick this 40 volt is compared to the 18 volt. So that aspect of this saw I really like. The speed of this is phenomenal. There we go. Get this out of the way. Cut this down. So there you go. You can see just how quick the 40 volt is compared to the 18 volt. It is much, much, much quicker. Now I will say that as I'm using it, I have noticed that the bar oil from it sitting up has dribbled completely down the handle. It is all over the trigger and safety mechanism here, and it's all over the battery compartment. So I actually had a little stop there. The battery, even though it's locked in, had slid out far enough that it stopped. So I had to repop the battery back in. So this goes back to my statement to Ryobi, don't make it where it just spits out the oil, because doing that causes your consumers to have issues with the automatic oiling system and it getting oil everywhere. So now the question is, should you purchase the 40 volt Polesaw? For me, it was a yes. I'm glad that I did. For you, it may depend. If you already have the 18 volt Polesaw and you don't need the depth of this cut, then there's really not a big reason to upgrade unless you just want to go faster with it. If you're not in the 40 volt ecosystem, then that would be another reason that you may not want to get this. However, if you are wanting to mow through your tree felling, the upper canopy especially quicker, then I absolutely recommend this because it is much quicker than the 18 volt system is. And for that, it's absolutely worth the extra money to buy this one over the 18 volt. So thanks for watching this video on the Ryobi chainsaw ecosystem that I currently own. And if you have any questions about these specific saws, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And if you have any questions or comments about any of the videos I've created or any of the tools behind me, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I love talking with you all and having great conversations, especially things like this. So keep the comments coming because I really enjoy it and I enjoy engaging with everybody in the chat. Thanks for watching.